All right, y'all. Peace and blessings. God bless y'all. I'm Jarvis Case, and I hope y'all doing all right in these perilous times. Now, today I want to discuss about adoption, foster care, foster homes, foster children, orphans. I want to discuss about that topic, I think it's very important to always be mindful of those type of people that grew up in broken households or grew up in environments where they weren't raised by their biological families, by their biological parents. We have to always be kind of mindful of people that come from those different types of backgrounds, because those type of people tend to experience a lot of trauma, a lot of abuse. They get kind of exposed to a lot of different things at such an early point in their lives. They tend to move around a lot, tend to be a bit isolated or lonely or what have you, tend to be misunderstood as well because they don't have the normal traditional upbringing like certain people do. And the Bible even talks about orphans, and looking out for children that are motherless or fatherless or whatnot, And it's always important to adopt people as family or adopt people as friends, always be welcoming and not looking down on people, you know what I mean? It's very important for us to kind of consider those things when we deal with people like that. I've had a few friends that were actually adopted as well, and they tend to be really, great friends as well. To this day, I'm still good friends with them. So, man, it can be kind of crazy how someone just kind of grows up in those type of environments. But, to me, those people are one of the strongest people in the world, man. To grow up being raised by someone that's not even biologically related to you, and yet they take you in as their own. Sometimes you have that. Sometimes you have great strangers or unfamiliar people that have very big hearts and are very welcoming. And sometimes you have partners who have problem having children or have problem reproducing or whatnot. They have problems with those things, and they'll just decide to adopt a child, and they'll just go adopt someone. And I think that's really cool, man, to go to a foster home and randomly select a child you would want to raise and grow and groom, you know what I mean? Because children, those type of people need love too, man. We tend to not consider those type of people in the day-to-day life, but I think we should start considering them more and often, man. I think if you're a person that has problems with having kids and you always wanted children, I feel like you should go to a foster home and, try to find someone through that system and, welcome in your home, I think that's a beautiful thing, man. Like I was watching a movie like Mike, even though it's like a funny basketball movie, it was kind of cool how they were all foster children and stuff. And then at the end of the movie, Morris Chestnut took them all in and everything. I think that was pretty cool and very touching. But I'm going to read some Bible verses that discusses about adoption and just go from there. The book of Exodus, chapter 2, verse 10. The child grew, and she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she named him Moses, and said, because I drew him out of the water. The book of Acts, chapter 7, verse 21. And after he had been set outside, Pharaoh's daughter took him away and nurtured him as her own son. The book of Hebrews, chapter 11, verse 24. By faith, Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. The book of 1 Kings, chapter 11, verse 20. The sister of Taphanes bore his son Genubath, whom Taphanes weaned in Pharaoh's house, and Genubath was in Pharaoh's house among the sons of Pharaoh. The book of Esther, chapter 2, verse 7. He was bringing up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had no father or mother. Now the young lady was beautiful of form and face, and when her father and her mother died, Mordecai took her as his own daughter. The book of Ruth, chapter 4, verse 16. Then Naomi took the child and laid him in her lap and became his nurse. The book of Judges, chapter 17, verse 11. The Levite agreed to live with the man, and the young man came to him like one of his sons. The book of Job, chapter 31, verse 18. But from my youth he grew up with me as with a father, and from infancy I guided her. The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verse 14. I will be a father to him, and he will be a son to me. When he commits iniquity, I will correct him with the rod of men and the strokes of the sons of men. The book of Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 5. He predestined us to adoption as sons through Jesus Christ himself, according to the kind intention of his will. The book of Romans chapter 8 verse 15. For you have not received a spirit of slavery, leading to fear again, but you have received a spirit of adoption as sons, by which we cry out, Abba, Father. The book of Galatians chapter 4 verse 5. So that he might redeem those who were under the law, that we might receive the adoption as sons. The book of Romans chapter 8 verse 23. And not only this, but also we ourselves, having the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves grown within ourselves, waiting eagerly for our adoption as sons, the redemption for our body. The book of Romans chapter 9 verse 4. Who are Israelites, to whom belongs the adoption of sons, and the glory and the covenants, and the giving of the law, and the temple service and the promises. So, I just wanted to talk about adoption. Sometimes people go through the adoption process because their parents weren't financially stable enough to raise the child, or mentally in the right place or whatnot, or the living conditions weren't correct, so they had to just put the baby up for adoption and just throw them through that foster care system. So things happen, Sometimes some people have children and they just can't raise them. Whatever their situation is or whatnot, those things happen. Whether the parents die or no family member wants to take them in, the child is basically a lone wolf and just thrown into that system, hopefully waiting for someone to adopt them and bring them in as a family and put them in the home. And as you can see here in the Bible, throughout the Old and New Testament, Moses was basically adopted too. He had to go through that whole situation with Pharaoh, and Esther with that as well. So you see in the Old Testament, New Testament, how even God's people had to experience those things as well. Not everybody has that Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Cosby Show, Brady Bunch upbringing family. Some people have just very crazy family backgrounds, very distant family. Some people have toxic situations they have to just be grown up in. As a child, you can't control those things. You're just dealt with the cards you're dealt with. So, you shouldn't be resentful or angry about that your whole life. You still want to make the most of your life, regardless of your upbringing. You can't let your past and your childhood dictate who you are. You can get through your traumas. You can get through that rough childhood. You can get through that pain, So that's why, in my opinion, man, I feel like people that go, like foster children, are the most strongest people in the world, in my opinion, man. To deal with those things at such an early age and to still have that joy and still want great things out of life, man. I mean, that's priceless. You got people that grow up in full households, full traditional households, and just be ungrateful, spoiled, and entitled, man. And, you got people from the foster care system that have very big hearts, man, big personalities, big smiles, just beautiful people that were just growing up in crazy situations that they couldn't control. So anybody that's in that foster care system, man, I pray that y'all get baptized and get God too. You know what I'm saying? Man, God love y'all, man. God got love for y'all orphans, man. He really does. If you struggle with things like that, man, just ask the Father to guide you through everything, man. God loves us so much. He's a gracious, serving God, man. He's a forgiving God. We have to always keep that in mind, man. God got his heart. He got his eyes on everybody, man. The rich, the poor, the unfortunate, everyone who has it, who doesn't have it. God got his eyes on all of us, man. He got love for us. So we have to always keep that in remembrance. And if you're a person that struggle to have children, that always wanted children, consider going to a foster home and taking one of those beautiful children and make them your own, since you have reproduction issues or things like that going on, or you have issues bearing a child or whatnot. Go get a foster child, man, and make them your own. If being a parent is something you're passionate about, always want to do, I think that foster care system is a great thing for you that you can do. Even sometimes all types of people be adopting children, so everyone's situation is different. If you have the heart and time and the compassion for it, then God bless you. Go through it and pray on it. I hope everyone that listens to this message gets God and gets baptized, start their lives over. I got much love for y'all. God bless y'all. Peace.